that's, legally binding. And they'll also you have a certain number of like letterhead, with like the attorney's office official lettering you can send out that a couple times. That actually had that work for me when I got scammed, or I didn't get scammed. My PayPal account got like hacked a little bit. I hadn't used it in forever, and somebody found their way into it. And with those big corporations, good luck actually getting a hold of anybody.
Right.
And there was no recourse. So contacted the lawyer, and all it took was one official letter, and I got back like over $300. So that was really nice.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like a pretty cool service. Sounds similar to what we have here, but it's not a monthly subscription or anything like that. But I think I like that better. You called it Legal Shield.
Yeah, Legal Shield. Now,
Okay.
I there's some people don't like it, but if you know what you're getting into, I think it's just it's pretty useful for. I mean, the number of times that I've called them and they've really helped me, figure out the way of thinking things, or if something was legal, and all that stuff just doesn't ding against you, like you're
Mm,
never gonna be able to have that many conversations for that many hours with a lawyer for $30 a month.
right. And is that something you can like pay as you go, or is there like an annual subscription?
I think yeah, I forget. It's been a while since I signed up for it, but I think it's just monthly.
Hmm, okay. You'll have to check it out. Yeah, I was thinking too that maybe depending how their contract was written, if they agreed to progress payments or something like that, then that might be a little bit harder. But um, hopefully, just talking through it with them helped a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if there's like a
Yeah, I
state.
mean, the other thing too is that you may just go to them and tell them like, I mean, if they're this dissatisfied with the work and they just wanted to stop, it'd be one of those things just like, okay, I'm done with you. How much do I got to pay you to go away? Right?
Uh-huh.
To finish out whatever work you've got here, go away. I need to get somebody else in here to do this. You know, I mean, you can always go through like small claims court. I mean, I'm assuming that's probably in the realm of how much money we're talking here, but in the end, I mean, is it really worth your time and effort to kind of pursue this sort of thing? And that is probably what this guy's counting on if he is going against or knows, has a reputation of being a shoddy worker.
Hmm.
You know, alternately, I mean, he may just be able to fix it. I mean, I don't know if she's talked to him about that yet.
Yeah, there's quite a bit more information needed to get the full picture. It was just something I've been thinking about since they reached out to check in with you all and see what your experiences have been, if any. And I guess too, it depends on, I mean, I know every roof is fairly expensive, but for example, one we're getting done in St. Louis is like 4 grand. And I know some of the other people in the group, one of the other ones just had a $14,000 roof put on. It was a duplex, but still that's in Washington. So the pricing is different. Um, all over the place. And like you said, how much, if it's a $4,000 roof and you have to pay a couple thousand to them to have them go away, then that's not too bad. But if it's, 14 or 20,000, that's a little bit different.
Yeah, but if it's a 14 or $20,000 roof and you stop them before they're halfway done, then
Hmm.
it could be worth it to make them go away.
True.
The range of roof cost, the house that we're refurbing, granted it's a 4,000 square foot house, but we got prices from 20,000 to $60,000. The range of, and we got, I don't know, 4 bids. So you're right, the prices, it just depends on who walks up.
Yeah, and like Dion says, how busy they are. If they have tons of work right now, they're not too interested in needing another job right away. They might just
Yeah.
go high just to, see if they can get it.
Push you off. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
highest price isn't always the best best work.
Right. And can you remind me again, Pam, where you're at?
We're in Silsbee, Texas.
Right. Great. Well, I'm glad. Yeah, a few people made it. We were just chatting at the beginning of the meeting because I was late because our power was out, but I'm glad it came back on. And I think Mikey sent an email out to as many of the members as we have in our list of email addresses. So glad to see you all. Does anybody have a question or anything that they would like to chat about this week in particular?
Actually, I have one.
Yeah, go for it.
Anybody have any experience with preparing jacuzzi style bathtubs? I got one of those, dreaded calls late the other night of there's water seeping up from the floor. And it turned out after going over there and fiddling around and doing some investigation that the upstairs tenant was giving their kid a bath in that style of tub. And I'm pretty sure one of the jets failed and it was leaking or like all the water in the tub down the walls and into the floor. So now I've got a couple plumbers coming out, and I'm frankly I just want to rip the thing out. I don't want to deal with it. There seems
Mhm.
just like too many. As soon as I got that there, I was thinking about that I'm gonna have to take care of this eventually, and well, here we go.
And this is in one of your units or for a customer?
This is in one of my units.
Um, is that I know it's still not even easy to access everything if it's got the skirt on the front. Typically they have just a small access to if you need to replace the motor, but
Mm-hmm.
the way all that stuff is glued, all the pipes and everything are glued into the fittings. Can you see where the water's coming through?
No, and the little access that I could see from like the other side of a wall, I couldn't see anything that was wet, so I have no idea what was going on there.
Hmm. And it's nothing obvious like the drain, the regular drain or P
I mean,
trap.
it might be. I'd have to rip the tub up to figure it out, right?
Hmm. Well, if you open the ceiling up downstairs around where the drain and P trap are, you could see all that because typically they would have that, what is it, 8 by 12-inch area cut out for the drain to fit in.
That's true.
Dion just did one. He had kind of a similar thing where the tub upstairs was leaking, and yeah, so they cut out the sheetrock underneath it and did the repair. It was really weird the way they did it. They had the drain and P trap, and I guess it was dripping, so they just like covered it with silicone, and the silicone held for quite a while, but it started dripping. So then after they did the repair, then he just put like a plywood door there so they could check it occasionally. So that's what he did there.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is that it's just a tub, and I'd like to turn it into a tub shower.
Hmm.
So I'm leaning more towards a remodel of that bathroom or that portion of the bathroom, but we'll see how much that comes back. I know plumbing guys, they got a little knife and they like to stick you with it.
Yeah. It's honestly seems like it would more be like it was the drain or trap or something because the what I was saying earlier about all the tubes and how they're glued and everything. I've never seen one leak from those, from the pipes that come with the tub.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And where the water's coming in the ceiling downstairs, well, that probably doesn't always indicate where the leak is, right? Because it could travel down the sheetrock and to another spot.
Yeah, well, actually, that was what was interesting is that there was no bulging of the ceiling. It was all going down the walls, inside the walls, and then coming out the floor,
Oh, okay.
which I mean is better, I think. But
Yeah. If it's doing that, because if it was the trap, well, again, you can never tell because I was just thinking if it was the trap mechanism and it has the cutout in the plywood, then that would hit the ceiling sheetrock below, and I guess it could drain towards the wall that way too.
I think it was coming out of like there's two walls kind of right underneath it, kind of supporting quote unquote it,
Hmm.
and it was coming out of both walls. So like in one instance, it was coming out into a bathroom, and then it was actually flowing out in the kitchen on the other side.
Oh, okay.
Hey Frank,
Yeah.
this
Hey,
is
hi.
this is Troy.
Yeah. Hi,
Hey,
Troy.
one thing to take in consideration was it only leaking when the tub was filled up?
That's what I was just going to ask. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because your overflow, it could be coming leaking because maybe it never really got fully your overflow never got fully installed properly, and
Hmm.
it's leaking through that and not the trap. Because I've seen that before where it only happens when you fill up the tub and it gets to the overflow and it starts hitting that. So I don't know if you got an overflow on it though. It's a jacuzzi tub. Sometimes they don't have those.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know how deep they would have had it because they were just bathing their small child. So I would have, yeah, I would have think they kept it relatively low,
Hmm.
the water level.
Sounds like there was quite a bit of water too. I was just thinking
Yeah,
if a kid was in there playing and was trying to pour the water down that hole or something, but if they were just bathing the kid in there, probably didn't get the water that deep. But yeah, I think I would poke around first near where the drain and the trap are.
Yeah, I would say it's either maybe the trap is it's worked itself free a little bit, and maybe they didn't screw it in very well, and the plumber's putty kind of gave out, and it's
Mhm.
starting to seep and run down that way. Because some of those are just a screw and fitting, they into the actual tub itself, and then you screw it in. But then some are actually just a flange, and it sits right over it.
Yeah, and that's something that we ended up doing years after we started work. Was actually because the most of the drains have the flat rubber washer that goes under the tub, and then, like you said, the top piece just screwed in. And I never thought it was not worthwhile, but I didn't think plumber's putty would stay. When you twist that drain fitting in and it's turning and it just squeezes all the putty out. But over the years, we just started putting putty on those as well, and that helped a lot.
Worst thing you could do is cut an exploratory hole and just have to patch the drywall and
Yeah.
find out that it was just the trap is leaking. And then you can save yourself the headache from replacing a tub right now and just get the trap fixed and then spend money on getting the drywall repaired.
Hmm. Yeah. Save some money on a remodel right now.
And that you're just like, I don't want to deal with this headache later, and just build it into your reserves. And then when the time comes, especially like when you have a move out, you can just like, let's get this damn thing out of here and just rip it out.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of that stuff yourself too, Cassidy, as far as bathroom remodels and stuff?
No, I haven't done a lot of bathroom stuff. Pretty handy everywhere else though.
Yeah. I was just curious because that's um I try to leave things open as long as possible, like whether it's on the second floor, first floor, if we can access the crawl space once we get all of that plumbing hooked up, the drain plumbing, to be able to watch it. it even with vanities and stuff, we get everything brand new and it's all tight at first, and you run it for a while and nothing happens, and then we come back the next day and there's a drip on the vanity floor. So I really don't like plumbing, but try to be super careful. And I'll even ask my customers, we'll leave a like piece of paper under there, and I'll just ask them, go ahead and use it, and if you don't mind just checking it in a day or two, and as long as there's no drips, we're good. But it's happened to us several times where we go back a couple days later and there's little drips coming from somewhere. If you replace that jacuzzi tub, you would just put in a regular bathtub.
I'd turn it into a shower tub. Yeah. So
Okay.
there'd be a little more. I'd have to, there'd have to be getting the shower nozzle in. There's a window right there that we'd have to take out and then redo a wall and then have a little vent at the top. And there's also like, I think there's a little space where all the pump stuff is, because there's like this kind of bumped out space. And so there's probably going to be like a little extra strip of like linoleum that's going to be exposed when we do all this, because of just standard sizes of tubs and such. And I might need to, either cover that up or get the linoleum redone in there.
Yeah, so the space is probably wider than a 5 foot standard tub. Huh? It might be 6 feet or something.
Mm-hmm.
So does it look like a seat right now?
Yeah, but on the long side.
Oh, okay. On the back
Yeah.
side. Okay.
Back side, yeah.
I see. Yeah. So if you don't build that back in, then yeah, it'll be a new floor for sure. And so the window is above that bumped out piece?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And it's a pretty good sized window too.
Okay. Yeah, I always thought that was funny. I mean, we do bathrooms all the time and they'll have a little window, like a 12 by 24 or something like that. And we just tile around those. But in the places that we're buying in Missouri, they have this big double hung window in the shower all the time. It's really weird.
Right? I mean, I was thinking of just taking like those glass blocks, like I guess the smoked glass blocks, and filling it in there with that, so you'd have a little bit of privacy there.
Those are way better.
And some light. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get, when we do those in a shower, you can buy acrylic glass block window. It's already got a vinyl frame and everything on it. So you install it like a regular window and it's all water resistant and everything. And then on the inside, when you tile up to it, you're good. But they have different types of glass block that you can buy, and it's a pretty cool way to go.
Nice.
Frank, it's the same thing in my area. I think it's pretty common for Kansas City. It's every single house I look at, it drives me up the wall every single time I look in there. I see, and the funny thing is there's so many houses being flipped that I see the one thing in common that they all do is they do not touch that window in the bathroom, because they do not want to replace the window, because it's going to cost them, because they're going to have to monkey with the siding and the exterior, and they don't do that. They're just going to get in, get out. And every time I see it, I'm like, and they do like this high-end upgrade and they leave a window in the shower. I'm like, that is such a bad area to have a window. And they're big windows too. They're like 20 by 30 size windows, just normal windows with a window sill right smack dab in the shower where all the water is going to run on it. I'm like, oh man, that's just going to be a problem area. I was like, oh my God. It drives me bonkers. I'm like, rip the stupid window out, put a transient window, make it look nice. I don't care. Take the window out and wall it in,
I know, I hear you. And they go ahead and replace the window with a nice vinyl window, which is waterproof, and then they trim it out with wood. That's crazy.
I know. Drives me nuts.
last time we did our triplexes in St. Joseph, Missouri, and they were remodeling the bathroom, and I just went through step by step, get a vinyl window, get plastic or vinyl interior trim, please, and trim it out with that at least. At least we'll have, some protection that way. And they were good about it, but yeah, they think the paint's gonna last forever or something. We'll even do that with baseboards in bathrooms a lot of times because we use the 3¼ inch Coronado base a lot. And at Home Depot, they have the plastic version of that. So
That's smart. I
yeah,
didn't think about that.
we'll use that in bathrooms.
So
And,
they're mold resistant too.
mhm. And we'll glue those in instead of putting nails just so we don't have to, putty. Then
All
you
the
see
holes.
then you see the putty on the nail holes and stuff. So last time we used a nice construction adhesive with hot glue. The hot glue held it in place until the other glue dried, and it worked out really nice.
Use some like liquid nail.
Yeah, I've been buying the one in the red tube. It's a red plastic tube.
I
It's
think that's Loctite.
Power Grip,
yeah.
Loctite Power Grip, exactly.
Yep.
That stuff is
Mhm.
great. It's my new best friend.
Cool, because I haven't really found one I've liked yet too. So
Yeah,
some of them
another
take forever
contractor,
to like cure, and then they're like you go to like move it, and all of a sudden it comes off. You're like, what? That didn't work very well.
right? Yeah,
Then you're
yeah, we use.
scraping it all off and redoing it again, and it pulled a bunch of drywall off too. And you're like, God damn it.
Yeah, I like that one. So far, that's been the best. And the other stuff's been fine too. The regular construction adhesive. I think there's a couple different styles, but another contractor told me he uses that red one a lot, and so I started trying it, and it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it's smart to talk to anybody who's in construction that they're professionals at it to ask those little things because like I got a buddy that's in construction, and when I was doing a siding job, I'm like, you know what, I want to find some good call that I can rely on. I'm not gonna like break the bank getting it. And he said Quad Pro Max. I don't use anything else. It's the only thing I use. Quad Pro Max. He's like, that stuff is super elastic. You can put it on, it'll cure fast. And he says you could put it on when it's like all the way up to like almost freezing and it'll work good.
Really?
He says that stuff stretches and it lasts forever. He says get that stuff on. He says you can go like, a week or two or whatever without painting in it. And as long as it's not you're having extreme temperature changes, it won't like contract, so it's not gonna like crack on you.
Hmm.
He says, but that stuff, he says, you can buy it in bulk too, and you can get some pretty good rates comparable to your DAP material, which is a lower grade bulky material. He says
Yeah.
it's only like a couple bucks more a tube, and he says usually if you buy in bulk and you find some good prices on it, he says you can buy it for less than what you can get the DAP product for. It's way better.
Could you spell the name for me?
Quad Pro Max. So it's
Quad.
QUAD.
Is that the one they sell at Home Depot?
Yeah, they have it. You can find it on Amazon too. You can get it by the case,
Okay.
which you can find some really good buys. Sometimes like you can go with an off color, like say you get a beige or like even a gray,
Hmm.
something that like, you can get away with if you're doing some lighter colors. You can put on and just paint over it and it doesn't matter. So you could get like a better break, especially if it's not like moving, the product's not moving. So you can get a bulk buy sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Like I found a case of it for, I think it was like beige and it was like marked off almost like 50% for a case and it dropped the price down to like almost, I think it was like $5 a tube. Normally they go for like $8 a tube.
Yeah,
So
that's all right. Yeah. I like the quad products. I'm glad you brought it up
mhm.
because there was another one that we were using for a little while, similar to that, but even though it said paintable, it wouldn't take the paint like on the first coat. So we
Yeah.
ended up having to prime it first and then paint it.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that was not good.
It'll stick. You just definitely got to put 2 coats on unless you give it a good thick layer.
Yeah.
But that's just painting. Usually, if you're going to do a skim coat with paint, that you're going to start seeing deficient areas. So you got to get at least 2 coats to
Mhm.
make it worth it. And especially if you're like in an area where it gets a lot of moisture, you definitely got to put 2 solid coats on, potentially even a third. So, but yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, I don't worry when we use that stuff. I don't worry about anything, no moisture getting in because when we do windows and stuff, we'll obviously put a bead behind the trim and then we do the inside and outside of the trim itself. So
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, that stuff is awesome.
I flash the crap out of everything anymore because I've had to put a lot of windows in lately. I put the one thing I noticed the difference about it, 'cause like I had a house 7 years ago that we put all new panoramic like windows, your big like windows that face like a looking area
Hmm.
that were like specialty windows. I went up and I recalked everything and I definitely noticed like within, because I didn't paint it afterwards, within a matter of like 3 months, it definitely cracked already. And so I use that stuff, and I'm redoing my garage right now, and I put some of that quad stuff, and I haven't painted over yet. Hasn't cracked at all.
Wow, that's
So
nice.
it's definitely good product. It's construction grade stuff too.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Do you have a favorite exterior primer that you like to use when you're doing painting?
I haven't done enough painting yet to know which one I like yet.
Hmm.
You know, I will admit that I'm not a super fan of Sherwin. Um, Honestly, I think it's the Valspar product that we used with Home Depot. It actually isn't too bad. So I deliver to all the major
just in
painting
case.
companies like that. I think it really boils down to
Not out
what
of
your
luck.
price point is.
The door handle upstairs.
Hmm.
So, like, I mean, your Rada or your Benjamin Moore products, it's a pretty good product, but it just depends on the rates. If you got some connections with some painters where they actually have contractor rates through like a Benjamin Moore, if it's like something you want longevity, I would definitely go with a topper line of primer, because your primer is your base coat. It's going to seal a lot of the cracks and everything else. So you're going to get it's going to eliminate some of your water intrusions, which is going to cost most of your damage. So if you were to go with a good like primer color, um, it'll last a lot longer, like a Benjamin Moore product. And then if you went with like a lesser quality of product, like you went with a Valspar or a Sherwin paint, that maybe you had to put multiple coats on, you could probably get away with it. I think it really depends on like your price points, really.
Okay, yeah. I over the years I really have liked using the cover stain, the gold label. They messed it up a few years back when they tried to make I don't
That
know.
was when they had the paint shortage, right?
Yeah, and they tried to make the one that
Mix
was
it.
kind of a hybrid, yeah, water and oil,
Hmm.
and that one I hated. But now that we can get, and then you could only get the oil in quarts for a long time, but now they're back to gallons. That's one of my favorites.
Hmm. Paint's one of those things. If you can get some extra stuff in, sometimes it's worth it. The color don't matter,
Hmm.
but it's the primer. And if you can always keep like a couple extra gallons of white primer, good quality primer, and then keep it in a good moderate temperature area. You don't want
Yeah,
it to get cold or too hot. It's worth the value in it that way, especially if you're doing stuff locally and you keep it within yourself.
right.
Especially like you. So if you're able to store stuff over in your properties over in St. Louis, it's something I've started to think about too. Is being able, I have my property right now has a unfinished basement, and I've thought about keeping some stuff down in there for my other projects. So I'm in the middle of hopefully trying to acquire the neighboring property. The owner of the one I bought from just reached out to me a week and a half ago and said, "Hey, do you want to buy the neighboring property?" So I'm working on that.
Oh,
So that'd be
neat.
nice to have side by side duplexes. So
Right. Yeah, cool.
the only one hurdle I have with that though is he remodeled the downstairs and turned it into a 2 bedroom, 1 bath. It's really nice. But the major issue with it is he's got 1 bedroom where there's no egress. It's got a closet, but there's no egress. So I'm like, so I had to have my contractor go over there and take a look at it. And he's like, "Oh, it's really nice." I'm like, "Well, what is it going to take for me to put an egress in there? Because I can't qualify that as a 2 bedroom unless there's egress." So
Yeah. So is that just a matter of, adding a tube and a window?
yeah, I think what you could ultimately do, and I think it's possible, is you just have to put a window well
Hmm.
and put in a window down there so that way you can classify it as it's one area you could escape through it.
Yeah.
So it's the problem is you have to dig it down, and then the hard part about it is trying to get it to where you either put a sump pump or something down there if it rained, or actually put an awning over it so it doesn't get water into it.
Hmm.
So that way it doesn't create an area where you get water that can build up and flood the room or build up and put pressure against the wall. But it's just digging it out, cutting a hole in the concrete foundation and installing a window. So I could easily see that being probably a $4,000 or $5,000 project, having someone else do it. I mean, if I
Yeah.
lived there, I could get over there and go to town with a shovel and start digging away,
Hmm.
and then, you know, cut a hole in the wall with a saw. But
Right.
but I'm not there, so it's gonna be someone else doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a pretty good sized job.
So I talked with the owner, and he's like, well, he's an old timer, and he's, just you know how they behave. He's like, well, you rent a place like that, they're gonna, live in it, and then you rent it out as a 2 bedroom. Like, well, that's great, but if I go to refinance it, the bank's not gonna say it's a 2 bedroom.
Yeah. True.
He's like, well, okay.
That's kind of important.
Yeah, well, it's we bought from this guy before, and he's kind of savvy, or he cuts corners where he can to make a dollar. So I'm not shocked
Hmm.
by it. So, and there's some quirks to it, but it would be really cool to be able to have side by side duplexes. It just, for me right now, he's wanting he's wanting more than it's worth.
Uh,
And talking, he's like, well, if we don't go through the real estate, agents, then it could go for this price because we don't pay the commissions on it. I'm like, just being quiet. I'm like, I don't pay the commissions on it. You pay the commissions on it.
yeah.
I just come with the financing. You pay the closing costs, though, buddy, not me. So he's asking like another $20,000 more. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. You're going the other way, man.
Right. Wow.
So I'm gonna try to put a offer in or together here tonight and send him over to it. I did a bunch of homework, and I'm like, well, this is what I think it's going for. So
Mhm.
it's probably gonna be about, I'm gonna put an offer in for probably about $30,000 less than what he wants, but we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. Good luck. That's the way to go.
Yep. Hey, Cassidy, real quick before I got to run, are you still there?
Yep.
Hey, is that what's that property you got? Is that with the tub in it? Is that a duplex, or what is it?
So it's a single family home with 2 levels that are separated by a stairwell that's got a deadbolt to the top. And basically, the 2 levels are identical. They both have kitchens, bathrooms, and everything like that, but it's all on one panel. So it's classified as a single family home, but it's basically a duplex.
Okay, it's an over and under duplex. That's basically what I have right now. And
Yeah.
the one I'm talking about with Frank, it's this very similar thing. And that's another thing that's going on with it. He put in a sub-metered power box, but there's two separate service panels. There's a 100 amp downstairs and a 200 upstairs.
Hmm.
Um, you know, Something to take in consideration. Do you want the bathrooms to slightly match when it comes to, potentially exiting or, refinancing down the line? I don't know if it really makes any difference, but in terms of like, your portfolio, sometimes it's some investors will like to have like the bathrooms being somewhat the same. So removing the jacuzzi tub to make it match, matching the bathroom downstairs. I don't know if that's important to you or not.
I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, it would match the one downstairs if we did that. Except for the one downstairs doesn't have a tub; it's just a shower,
Oh, okay.
standing shower.
Yeah. So I don't know. Long run of things, I would think personally, like I imagine you thought about the jacuzzi tub, I'd be like feeling as though it would be more of a headache to take care of and worry about long term. So if you just planned on redoing that later and turn it into a shower tub, that way it's more maintenance free, less of
Yeah,
a concern. Especially if this is just an easy fix. You know what I mean? Just like it's a trap issue. It needs to be repaired, needs to be tightened or replaced or something like that. Versus, oh, it is a bigger problem. It is one of the hoses or the jets that is leaking through it, and the only way to repair it is take the whole thing out.
Yeah, that's basically where I'm at, is that if it's going to be an easy fix, like you said, just a trap or, some washer or something, or who knows what just needs to be replaced, then yeah, I'm going that way. But, if there's something fundamentally wrong with a tub or one of the jets is all messed up, then it's going to cost, I don't know. It's really also going to depend on um, what sort of bids I get for the remodel, because I do have a bit of money saved up to start working on this unit specifically. It needs a new coat of paint and it needs a new roof. But the coat of paint can wait, and the roof is not going anywhere right now. So it really kind of depends.
Yeah. Well, hey, just get your bids, and then if you have any questions or concerns about it going forward, bring it up to the next meeting.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, hey guys, I got to jump. Have a good night.
Okay,
Thanks, Troy.
good to see you.
You too. Bye.
No, no. So what are you other guys doing? Sam, hi Sam, Kevin, Chris, Lars, hi Gene, and David, you're back. Mark didn't scare you away. Yeah.
Mark couldn't scare me away if he tried. He tried already, but it didn't work.
Very good. Hi Chris, how's your week been?
It's been interesting. I'm juggling, but look, my challenge continues to be like my ability to estimate make ready costs. I mean, if you're doing if you're doing lipstick on the pig, right? Floors, ceilings, minor electrical work, add a washer, hookup. I mean, I'm fine that, right? But you know, pulling an attic into the building envelope, expanding the windows to meet fire code, like I just don't have that. Now the good news is, look, even if I overpay by 20 or 30 grand on a long term, it doesn't like massively crater the cash flow. But no, my biggest concern right now is cash, right? I just got a bunch of renovations that kind of all hitting at once, and the other side's gonna be really good, but it's gonna be really painful for the next 6 months. So
Yeah, I think we're right there with you. We've been putting out some money over the last month or two, actually.
yeah,
And yeah, just trying to keep like you said, keep looking forward and realize how nice it will be once everything's stabilized. We had we on the one unit recently, it was like a water heater and then tub refinishing, and these things just kept coming up as the property manager was doing their inspections to make the places rent ready. And yeah, it's adding up a bit. So we're really looking forward to when things start to stabilize and we can put some of that money back in the reserve account.
I just figured out how to remove 100 grand from my 401k without getting the penalty, because in parallel I'm paying my daughter's college tuition. So and I already paid the tuition, right? But if you withdraw from your 401k, you can do a withdrawal. You can do a legitimate withdrawal for secondary education expenses without the fee. Obviously, your accountant has to solve that, but yeah, we're just like kind of scrambling we're in this like 6 month cash window. I would like to just vent in a good way for like just maybe 30 seconds. Like, I bought a Milwaukee Pro Press like a year ago, and because I watched. My rule is whenever I have a contractor do a piece of work I've never done before, I make it a point to be there and watch them, because I learn so much, and then I know how to be a better. Either I can do it or I can be a better buyer of contracting going forward. And watching the guys do the water heaters, because we had like a rash of water heater failures like 2 years ago, And I was just blown away how much. I mean, I just remember like soldering my own water heater when I was a novice. It was so painful, and I was like burning the walls, and there's like solder everywhere, and I got burns on my ankles, and oh my god! So I finally had a chance to use it the other weekend. I have a weird lot where I've got a commercial property. The water comes in there, and then it goes over to the residential triplex, and I'm going to rent out the commercial, but I got to submeter the residential so I can, adequately split the water bill, right?
Mhm.
And I had a ProPress, and like, dude, it was awesome. Like I was able to do like 9 connections in like 9 minutes, right? The hardest part that I still have a leak on is the friggin' threaded connectors on the meter, stainless to copper. Oh my God. Like I talked to my plumber. He's like, yeah, he's like Teflon tape and pipe dope for the stainless to copper connections. It's really painful, but you'll get over it. I'm like, all right, fine. But the ProPress is friggin' awesome. And like it's for $1,000 investment. Like I won't touch gas water heaters, but like an electric water heaters, I could totally do it myself now. And like probably in like 2 hours. The hardest part would be carrying the old one in and out, right? But it's an awesome tool. I'm just so impressed with it.
That's pretty sweet. So did you say it was only $1,000?
For the ProPress,
The ProPress?
yeah, I think I got the M12, the 12 volt, not the 18 or 20 volt version, because I'm not doing that much, right? I'm doing like 2, 3, 4, 5, not like 20, 30, 40.
Uh-huh.
I want to say I bought it new from Home Depot, which was a splurge for me. Yeah, I think it was $1,000, $1,200, something like that.
Okay. Did it come with different size clamps? Half
Yep.
inch, 3/4?
Half inch, 3/4 inch, and 1 inch. I did not. There was an upgrade where you could also get the one. What's the next size up, Frank? Is it 1.5 or one
I
and a
think it's
quarter? Or?
1 1/4, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't come with that, but I everything for me is half, and then maybe a little bit of 3/4. So,
Mhm.
and then I spent an extra $100 on a kit that had a bunch of standard connectors. Oddly, none of which I've actually used. I had to go out and buy the ones that I actually needed. But Home Depot now carries ProPress, the Viega fittings, which is really convenient. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a lot less expensive than I saw when I was looking for them. It was like $3,400 for the kit.
Oh yeah, that's insane. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't buy one at the time. And I kind of have to kick that back and forth because at this point in my career, I don't know how much use I would get out of it, where we still sweat a little bit and then we're mostly running PEX and stuff. So I
Yeah.
got everything I need there. The one awesome thing about the ProPress, like, is that you can work on stuff where you can't get that last drip out of the pipe,
Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Oh
We're
yeah.
done.
Yeah, I still had. It's funny you say that. Like when I shut off the water from the commercial site into the residential, and there was still a little bit of flow, and I'm like, if I was soldering, I'd be dead, right?
Yeah.
I'd be jamming bread crust down there, and I just slapped a valve on. I just kept slap stuff on and just kept going, right? And it ProPressed just fine. And then I got to the valve and opened it and ProPressed it on, and then closed it, and boom, done, right? So yeah, it was pretty cool.
I know they always the one time we went back to the Wonder Bread chick, we had to do it, and the customer came in the bathroom and asked if we were having lunch because they smelled the bread toasting.
Yeah. So anyway, but
That's cool.
okay.
Yeah, no, that's awesome that you can do that yourself now. I definitely have some scars from sweat and copper.
Yeah. I mean, and the funny thing is, you probably only need. I mean, look, I was shocked last time I had to replace a water heater, like because I think you can still buy them for like $600-800, right? I think I'm directionally right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like 12 to 1800 to replace it, and I'm just like, that's a lot of labor, man, for like something they're gonna do in like 2 hours, maybe 3. So, I'm not doing a lot of my own maintenance anymore, but some of the stuff that's other complex that super complex, meaning like I could do it in an afternoon, or I could pay somebody $1,000 to do it, and I'm like, yeah, I'll bite an afternoon the weekend, I'll just do it. But it's super convenient. And if you ever have an emergency, right, and you got to go over and just like cut a line and pop a valve in and shut it off or something like that, it's almost worth it just for that, right? You wouldn't need too many uses to get the recoup on your investment if you're feeling comfortable with me. If you're if you're comfortable being handy, right? So
Yeah, no, yeah, I was going to bring that up too, just if for an emergency repair, and if you're nearby and the plumber's going to be a while or whatever,
yeah,
that is nice. And like you said, you just wherever it is, just press a valve on and shut it down at least,
yeah,
and then they can take it from there. But yeah, pretty cool.
yeah.
Hey Frank, how's going? How's everyone doing? How glad you have your power back.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Sam. I was hoping
You're
everybody got
not.
an email. We
Oh, yeah.
we were watching Matt. It was about 5:30, and then the power went out. We lost him, and so I actually we dragged our generator out. We were going to hook up to the generator so we can get on tonight, but then the power popped back on, so we didn't have to do that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. How are you? How's everything going?
Well, everything's going well. It's just it's going slow, very slow at this time. I've, I've been very busy the last months at my work, so I have not had the chance to do anything. I've closed on the single family home 2 weeks ago, or actually 3 weeks ago, but
Mhm.
I haven't had the chance to do anything yet, or meet any contractors, and so yeah. But I'll get to it. It's been my work has been just so demanding the last 3-4 weeks. So, and we have the baby, so you can hear
Right.
him now.
Yeah.
But and so that's kind of that sometimes is these periods of slow down. So, and yeah, but everything is fine. Everything is fine. I'm actually thinking of the new house, and I'm thinking, would it be better to bring one contractor to do it all, or maybe I should just to bring one by one, and let's start maybe the flooring guy, and then the painter, and someone who will do kitchen, things like that. What's your thought on that? Would you, if you're local like I am, would you like, to me it doesn't matter. I can leave the door open for this last house, and they can just go, and I can send three contractors for each job, and go there, view the house. There's nothing to do there, so they can go there and give me the bid. I don't even have to go there. It's half an
Mhm.
hour from me, but it's half an hour, but I don't have to go meet them every time. I can just tell them I can go there, know what I want, and probably like the flooring, get three bids and three guys at different time. Keep the door open. I don't really, and do it over for the painters and so on. And or would it be better just to bring general contractors to bid on the whole thing? Any thoughts? Any thoughts on that
Well,
idea?
it seems like you could you could be your own general. And as far as, sometimes we'll put a like a lockbox on the door with a key in it. And if you're sending people out there, give them the code so they can unlock the door and get in and do what they need to do to measure and get you an estimate. Um, I think definitely you want to get your whole scope of work written out so that you can plan your steps. You know, for example, like the painters would go in before the flooring guys, and if you're redoing the kitchen, then um, depending how much of the kitchen is getting demoed, if you have to have any drywall repair or anything like that, then that would come before, cabinet installation and countertops and things like that. And then if you're upgrading any electrical, obviously that would come before so that you can do any patching, things like that. So if you write down everything you want to do on the project, then organize it that way, and then you won't have to go back and, you know, repaint if the floor guys damage a wall or something crazy like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so yeah, I just need to put the sequence of the work that needs to be done from the start to end, and that way I can target the right contractors. Um, it's funny. Before I got busy with all this, I was going to Home Depot every other day, and I go and meet contractors, get their information. So I have a big list of contractors and what they do stored in my phone, and I can just maybe I can start talking to them and contact them and get them to the what I need to be done. And I'm really hoping. So this house is a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, and I will convert it to a 3 bedroom, 2 bath. So uh, I'm adding a bathroom and a bedroom, and there was a house done just next to it by another investor that I was able to take a look at, and so I saw the floor plan, how he did it, and it was exactly the same floor plan, and I was really hoping to get the guy who did it for him, but he was busy, so then I have to do it on my own. But at least I have the photos, I have the ideas, and so yeah, that would be something I'm looking forward to do.
But Sam, you ask a really interesting question. I mean, Frank, from your experience, wise into view, like when should we think about pulling in a GC, right? Is it a matter of like how many different, for lack of a better word, functions are you touching? Like, well, if it's just plumbing or just flooring or whatever, it's fine. But if you've got, 7 things you're trying to coordinate, or like for me, the biggest value of the GC has been if there's a lot of different functional specialists involved. And frankly, I've had my GCs handle all of they work with the architect and the township, and they kind of coordinate all of the permitting stuff, and that's like golden, right? Because if I had to do that, I just with my day job, it would be a nightmare. But and then they're coordinating the electrician and the architect and the inspections and like the coordination thing where there's a lot of complexity and a lot of moving pieces. But I don't know, any counsel for us there?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think that has been the most helpful because they've got the connections with like you said, good architects and designers and things like that. Their relationship at the whatever the municipality is to pull permits, and they get to know those guys too. And those people start to understand how the quality of work is for us. We have some contractors or some inspectors that will come through and they know our work. They just pop their heads in and just check it out, make sure everything is looking uh, pretty neat, and they'll just sign us off right away. They know over the years that we've done several kitchens and baths and things like that. And then the planning aspect too. You don't want people stepping all over other people. You don't want, like, one of my pet peeves is when you have an electrician, for example, and they go through and they make their mess and they leave all their garbage everywhere. So I'm really picky about that. So I'll tell them right up front, whatever your price is, make sure it includes that you guys clean up your mess and take all your garbage with you, because I don't, we don't need that to be piled on top of everything else that we're trying to do here. And they will typically know, just like I was telling Sam, the natural progression or the better progression of each type of work that you need done. And if you haven't done, I'm sure in a few years after Sam's done a few of these, that he will understand, the best route to take and which trades should come before others. And to me, for example, like if you're going to have a new roof put on, you want to, like you were saying, Sam, you're adding a bathroom. So there's going to be new vents pop through the roof and things like that. So you want to make sure all that venting is put in place in the roof now, That way, you know, you don't want to have the roof done and then say, oh yeah, there's going to be a new vent coming out of the bathroom. Then they got to cut a hole and redo it after the fact, things like that. But I think to that point, typically the general contractor would add a small percentage, or hopefully a small percentage on top of each trade. So, you know, he's managing the whole project, and so you get your plumbing bid through him. It's going to have a small fee on top of it for his part of managing that part of the project, electrician and drywall and all of that stuff. So you are paying. I don't know how much the guys are putting on top of all their bids these days. I don't do that. Because I do, we do pretty much all of our own work. And if a customer needs a roof, I don't do roofs, but I have a roofer that I work with, and I'll just
Yeah.
connect them and say, you know, here's the guy we use, and they'll just give them their bid. But I'm not going to be there waiting for a delivery or anything like that, you know, that has to do with the roof. So the customers know that up front, and I do that. Sometimes when we get our kitchens done, we'll buy the cabinetry in there and countertops through Home Depot a lot of times.
Mhm.
And I let the customer know ahead of time for that installation day, you know, I'm charging you for the day because they need me there if questions pop up.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't want to pay the $300, then you need to be there to answer questions. So
Right.
they give them that choice.
Yeah. I will say these Fabuwood cabinets that Matt uses, we've used in a couple of units now so far, and I'm totally a fan. Like I would use them, and if I can use them, I'd probably go to IKEA and then Home Depot. But yeah, they're really, really, really good quality stuff.
Yeah, I've seen his when I was up at Dion's. I got to see the cabinets as Dion put them in his kitchen. I love the quality. And when we order through Home Depot, you know, we won't just get the basic cabinets. We always
Yeah.
get all plywood construction and
Yeah.
soft closed doors and drawers and all that stuff. So it's gotten a lot more reasonable nowadays. Before they used to add everything on, so you can get a nice cabinet, but it had regular hinges or whatever,
Yeah.
and then they would charge you for the upgrade. But now everything's built in. So I just priced one out. It's a U-shaped kitchen, and it's probably about about 24 lineal feet of cabinetry, and they came in. The countertops were 3,500, and the cabinets were 13,000.
Hmm.
You know, so that was a pretty decent. And a lot of times we can get, depending on what brand you're buying, they'll have specials running. So, and if we run them through our pro account, then they'll give the customer like another 20% off and
Yep.
things like that. So
Yeah, that's what we get for our
Mhm.
the pro account. Yeah.
Yeah,
Not the name brand stuff, but the other stuff we get a pretty decent discount.
yeah, I like American Woodmark. That's the brand we've been putting in mostly. And it's really like Matt's. It's just a shaker style door, and you know, painted white or painted light gray or things like that.
Cool.
Hmm.
And is that American wood? What do you call it? American wood brand?
American Woodmark.
American Woodmark. Do you buy these cabinets? You know, I've seen in Home Depot there are cabinets and different cabinets, and I've seen the ones that are not like they're basically just the lumber, the wood itself is not painted or not primed, not painted. Do you buy those, or do you buy the ones that are done? Because it seems to me like you buy the ones that are with no paint. Well, you still have to spend, you know, you bring up someone to paint them, and that's adds to the cost. So what
Right.
do you usually get?
Yeah, I would never.
The finished.
Right. I would never use the cabinetry that they have on the shelves. So when we do it, they have their kitchen design area at Home Depot, you bring in your dimensions and they'll design the kitchen for you, and then you order the cabinetry through that department. And in that department, they have all the different brands, they have all the different door styles that you can look at, colors and everything like that. And so we use the kitchen designer, and then we buy the cabinets through them. And that's why I said we always get all plywood construction. They're typically a paint finish. We haven't used a stain grade finish in a long time. That seems like it's kind of out of style. And the painted cabinets actually used to cost more than the stained ones. But I think all of that's evened out now. The last little kitchen we did, I did some videos on it. I think that whole kitchen, cabinets and countertops, were like 13,000. So it was pretty reasonable, and they were good quality. I think they're a good quality, and I would call them semi-custom because when you order those, you will have what they call filler pieces here and there. So just say, for example, your wall is 8 foot 2 inches, and the cabinets that you get to fill the space are 8 feet. Then you have a 2-inch wood filler piece to finish to the wall, things like that. But a custom cabinet maker will make the cabinets to fit the space exactly. So you won't have fillers or things like that. So that's one difference. They still look nice. Sam, if you ever want to see pictures, I've got a lot of pictures of the one we just finished, and you can't even tell that there are fillers in there. So that's a difference. And then when you order, they'll tell you how much toe kick material you need, how much scribe molding, if you're going to need any scribe molding, which is those little pieces of trim that go right up against the wall. Sometimes if you have a little gap there, they have a piece of trim to tack on over that. If it's super tight, we'll just caulk it and it looks great. And different things like that. So, but the ones off the shelf are just particle board. I wouldn't put those in anything. As soon as it gets wet, it's going to swell up and start deteriorating.
Oh, that's great to know about the designer and the brand that they have, and yeah, I'm looking for plywood and I'm looking for the partner tools. These are not gonna. I've had experience with them, and they are very hard to paint, and they swell and all that.
Right.
No, thanks for sharing. Yeah, I had real experience with, buying Home Depot blinds, and that are customized. So they came in, took them 4 or 5 days, and they came in, fit this was my primary, so they fit very well, and they were good. They were designed for the size, but I didn't order anything from their kitchen or cabinet, so I always pass through them. But I haven't talked to anyone there, so it's good to know, and that use them, and
I've been
the quality.
Yeah, we've been designing or having them designed through Home Depot for like 20 years. It might be helpful if you're in the store fairly often, just to check with people, because some of them have 2 or 3 kitchen designers, and one of them at this store that I shop at isn't the greatest, but I've actually got a woman who transferred from Washington down here, and she's been doing it for like 25 years, and she's awesome. She thinks about all the little details. The one thing that Home Depot doesn't do anymore that they used to do was to come out and measure your kitchen. Now you're responsible for the dimensions, and if it's screwed up, it's on you. So one of our customers did that. He measured his own stuff, and he took it in, and they designed the kitchen. He thought they were going to come out and double check his measurements, and they didn't. And he was 1/2 an inch off. So we had to do a few things to modify that to make his kitchen fit. And so just remember that when you measure, they're going to take your measurements.
Hey, Frank, can I offer one other horror story? Oh, sorry.
Now, I was going to say that's right because I had to take my own measurements, and they have to be really good for them to produce a good blind
Yeah.
at that time. Go ahead, sorry.
No, Sam, I was just going to say the only other lesson I'd offer is it's important not just to measure your kitchen, but measure your doorways and your hallways. Because we renovated a townhome or like a townhome type style building into a fourplex. And we had a great kitchen space in one of the rooms, and it had a corner, but a corner cabinet. And if you think about the corner cabinets, they're not just 24 inches deep because they're a corner, right? They're like more like 30 or 35 square. I don't know, Frank, you probably know the measurements better than I do, but they're bigger than like, the standard cabinets, which are 24 inches deep, right? We couldn't, it was too big to fit in the doorway, some of the entry doorways in the hallways. And my contractor, to your point, Frank, he had to sawzall the thing down and then, reconstruct it in a way. He did a great job. You'd never know it, but, don't just measure the kitchen, measure your entryways if you've got corner cabinets because they are bigger than 24 inches wide.
Yeah. The lazy Susans. A lot of times you can get those, and just when you walk in through the door, you can kind of rotate it as you come through. And sometimes, like you said, it just doesn't work.
Sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've run into that once or twice where, luckily we were able just to take the entry door of the house off and it made it big enough so we can get the cabinet through. But that's very true. But yeah, if you find a good designer, that you like working with and knows their stuff, don't lose them because they're super valuable and they don't charge you for the designs. They do all that stuff basically for free.
Stan, where's your place located at? The one that you just purchased?
Were you asking Sam, Kevin?
Yeah, I was just asking Sam. Like,
Oh yes, hi Kevin. I purchased. My market is in near Conroe, Texas, which is like north of Houston. So there's a couple small, not small town now they are big. So cities. So Conroe and Willis, north of Houston, Texas.
Nice, congrats.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, that's the one you posted a picture of, right, Sam?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, on my Instagram. Yeah. That's the one. Now now it's funny. Now that the grass is tall and I have to pay someone to go and cut it. Now I'm motivated more to go and start working on it. It's now drilling and drilling a hole in my pocket. So now I'm more motivated.
Yeah, you got to keep it up even though it's vacant, huh?
Oh, definitely.
Sean, are you there? I hear you're rolling with the sheriff these days.
I am.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, I had to start my first eviction process.
And so is that continuing or did you got it resolved with payments or something?
Well, so we've had a discussion, and yeah, they want to make payments and get caught up in full. So what they proposed is acceptable, but I haven't dropped the case yet. I want to see kind of what happens. So, yeah. The way it works in Georgia anyway is once they get served with the notice, they have to answer within 7 days, and if they don't answer, then technically I would automatically win the case. If they do answer, then a court date would get scheduled. So there's a little bit of time. They're actually supposed to send the first payment tonight, so they've got about an hour and 15 minutes left.
Okay.
I haven't seen it yet, but they're supposed to sell it.
We'll keep our fingers crossed for you.
Yeah.
we're doing 2 evictions in our duplex in Milwaukee, and the first tenant is out, and we got the make ready quote. It's going to be 33. They said between 3,300 and 3,800 to go through, paint the whole unit and clean it. There wasn't a lot of bad damage or anything. She's been in there since we owned it, so it's at least 3 years. And so the second tenant is still has a few days before her court date, so we'll see how that goes. But all the stuff costs money, right? But I think I've discussed before the difference between the eviction cost from our original PM, which was $1,500, and this one is the new property management costs $469 for an eviction, even if the tenant asks for a court hearing, the cost stays the same. So that's been a pleasant change.
I want to share. I want to say thanks to Sean, and kudos to him, because a few years ago he mentioned something about how he dealt with his county, and he started receiving notifications about deeds and about his properties, and he was mentioning that the other week when we were talking, and I went ahead and talked to my county. And sure enough, it's a new service in the county, and I went ahead and got the instruction from them on the phone, and then I went ahead on the website, and I added my detail, my contact information, my email, and that's how I will get notified on any changes that includes my name or my wife's name or any combination of the names and even my middle name, and it will notify me through my email or any change that happens, if it was a fraud or someone who's trying to steal property through title, and that's very good. So thanks, Sean, for mentioning that the other day. I went ahead and wrote it down when you mentioned it, and I went and talked to my county a few days after, and here we go. And it says the new on the county.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, it just seems like that's something that nobody used to think anyone would have the audacity to do, or maybe the punishment wouldn't fit the crime, because you're probably not going to get away with actually stealing someone's title. But I mean, now it's so easy to forge and get it notarized and take it to the county clerk. It just seems like all the counties are going to have to start doing that to keep things safe.
Yeah, it seems like you're right. You're right. It seems like this is a new service in my county. And I went to the county. It says that service, like something new and red next to it. And it seems like every county is trying to catch up and help with reduce those fraud and what's going on. And because I mean, the fastest the better you are prepared to do something about it, like you said. And this is free. It's just the county sending you emails. So it's a great service. And so, yeah, thanks again for sharing that with us. And I put that in my Instagram too. So thank you there. I don't know if you follow me, but it's over there. So I said thanks to Sean for his help.
Great. Thanks, Sam.
Hey, Frank, I have a situation to throw out to the group to see if anyone has any ideas.
Sure.
So my insurance agent called me the other day, and I've had her on my personal, she's been like my personal insurance agent for many, many years and everything. And I just let her do a rental. I'd been doing my rentals through another business, and she called me. She said, "I want you to give you a heads up. I don't want you to get mad, but somebody went and looked at the property, and they're going to send you a cancellation notice because you've got trees touching the roof." She said, "But if you'll cut the trees back and send me a picture of it, we'll get it reinstated." So I looked at the pictures, and one of them is only like a sapling or something. It'd be easy for me to cut that one down. And the other one was, I don't know if you remember, it was the same inspection report that I shared a few weeks ago. There was some trees kind of hanging over the roof. I already had an estimate on that for I think 1,400. The only thing that I'm worried about now is a lot of the tree services in Georgia have went to either North Carolina or Florida to clean up after the hurricane. So I might call the guy and they're like, "Yeah, we'll see you. We'll see you in a couple of months."
Right. So it's funny that you mentioned that, because we got a cancellation notice today on our primary. And it was because, so we have this old pickup. It's on the side of the house that we were planning on working on and getting it back running again. It used to run. We used to drive it all the time. But so they're going to cancel us in November if we don't get rid of the vehicle. And if you've seen any of our recent videos, I'm rebuilding our garage for Cynthia for craft room, right? And I moved some stuff into the driveway. And so all of this huge mountain of trash in our driveway has to be taken care of, or they will cancel us. So they're, like Dion was saying, they're just trying any reason to cancel you. Part of their requirement, they said, if you take care of these issues, yeah, Jason, I know.
That was exactly my question. How does that hurt their liability if you have a truck?
What does a truck have to do with insurance?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but also, so they said you take care of these two things and then we could reapply. So a little bit of backstory, like 2 weeks ago, our insurance was canceled and we had to do the California Fair Plan insurance, which I mentioned was like double what we were paying originally. And so we had to rush and get insurance before the mortgage company placed it and things like that. So we jumped through hoops, we got that in place. And then we got a postcard saying within 15 days, we'll be sending out someone to take pictures of your home for the insurance company. We'll make an appointment. So the other day, the guy showed up with no appointment, said, "I'm here to take pictures." So I couldn't do anything but tell him, "Okay, you were supposed to call first." So he took pictures. He took pictures 2 days ago. And today I got the notice in the mail saying they were going to cancel us. And they had the pictures the guy took and everything. So.
Did you have the stuff cleaned up?
Well, I just got the notice today because I asked our insurance agent, what exactly do they want done? Can they send me the pictures so I could see what they need done? And yes, it was, I have some garbage cans in the driveway with all these plumbing parts and stuff. And then the truck is on the other side of the house. And those were the two pictures that they said, these are the recommendations that you need to satisfy. And when you reapply, you'll probably be required to have a $10,000 deductible. So I replied to that asking, if we up our deductible, does the cost on the policy go down? Because typically that's how it works. So that's where we're at. With all that you described, what is your question for you, Sean?
My question, well, it was more of a topic for comment, or if anyone had any tips about it, because like you were saying, it just seems like people are getting cancellation notices for the oddest thing. Like, I can kind of understand, the tree, but like one of these is like literally a sapling that was growing around the side. It just seems crazy to just like cancel someone's policy because of that. But
yeah. Well, I'm surprised I know California is like the worst with everything, but I'm surprised in your state that that's, you know, it's an issue everywhere. I would, well, we're going to try to satisfy them, obviously, but we did get another estimate from another local insurance company. We have
Mhm.
farmers right now.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the other estimate came in about $200 lower. So ours went up to 2,100. The other estimate was 1,900. So like your insurance agent asked you not to get upset. It's not their fault, right? It's just
Right.
it's the company. I mean,
Mhm.
so we're not upset with
Frank,
her.
Yeah, I'm definitely not upset with her. I'm glad she gave me a heads up because I said send me those pictures, and she sent it to me.
Yeah.
She said actually they haven't even mailed the letter yet, so I might have it taken care of before they actually send me the letter.
If I can offer a thought,
Please.
so in my day job, which has nothing to do with real estate, I spent 2 years working with the folks at USAA down in San Antonio, the second largest building in the country after the Pentagon, and they were a great client and they were a terrible client. They were a great client in that they would live and die for their customers, right? Armed services, what you want, right? They were a terrible client that they would lose money to save the customer. I mean, they would die for their customer, which is so. They insure like 3/4 of our properties, and I did not have the fortune of being in the military, but my dad did, and my wife's dad did, and so we are great. So if you have anybody in your family network who is military, you are probably eligible to get a USAA account, and they have a great renters insurance. Landlords insurance program. And obviously, it's not, they want to mixed unit, they'll only do up to 4 units, but it's cost competitive. They are very reasonable. They don't drop people. You have a lot of flexibility of your deductibles. I would just encourage anybody who has that option to explore it. It's been great for us. And I on a easy unit, is Geico going to be a little cheaper? I don't know, maybe, right? But I've been really happy with them. Now we've never filed a claim, but like from a cost perspective, I max my deductibles. They've been really good. They allow you to modulate the level of finish on some of the higher end units. They've come out and done an inspection after we did the policy just to kind of calibrate. But I've been really happy with them. So food for thought. And I have no idea how they play in the hurricane near the ocean regions. That's a whole separate animal, but something to think about.
That's a great tip. Thanks for that. Yeah, my dad's a vet, so if I can
You're eligible.
qualify for it, yeah.
No, you are.
I will try that. Yeah.
He can apply for a savings account, put in $10, and then he can designate you a family member, and then you can get an account, and then you can go to town. I mean, like literally, my dad's a bit sketchy, so getting him to dig up his army information was a pain in the ass. But
actually, my dad, he's in his 80s, and his insurance, his vehicle insurance, has been going up a lot.
Yeah. Could be
good
for him too.
He's been complaining about it. So yeah. I mean, based on what you've said about they're really advocates for their customers that serve, then that might be good for him to get a quote through there too.
Yeah, totally agree.
So totally appreciate that.
Sorry, Frank, back to you.
No, that's okay, Chris. Cynthia was asking Chris, so the person that's qualifying you, do they have to have insurance through USAA?
No. They so I'm not an expert, but here's the general understanding I have, right? My father's sketchy and too hard to pin down, but my dad was an enlisted guy in the Navy, and so we didn't even, he did not even have to set up the USAA account. We just basically had to get some information from him, give it to USAA. They helped to figure it out. My wife got added. Then, our family got added. My wife, myself, and my daughter's car insurance is now on there. We're not doing our home insurance through there, but that's a choice because we went Chubb because we want it different for different reasons. But if you and they've got great customer service, you call them, they'll walk you through, like, you can either get your parents, I don't remember the exact nomenclature, like their service number from their retirement, or they can show you how you can look it up, and they'll help you out. I mean, they're a remarkably good customer service organization. They had the best banking technology, like, mobile and other stuff, because like they have no retail, right? They have a couple hundred ATMs across the country around military bases. They have no like retail branches, so they're very strong on like how you can do everything remotely and mobile and all that other jazz, and very technology strong, crazy security, really in a good way, right? So yeah, I would encourage you to look into it if you have the option.
Okay, thanks.
Great, thank you.
Awesome.
Sean, did you see Zuber's video with the guy from Steadily?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so Steadily is another insurance company, and it seemed like it was a known nonsense. At least that's the feeling I got from the man Zuber was talking to. And so a bunch of people so far from the community have reached out. They're supposed to have really good rates.
I was going to price shop them against USAA, Frank, maybe
a
little jam this week, maybe next week. I'll let you know how that turns out.
Okay, yeah, please do. But that's just another thought. If you want to go back through to get a little bit better idea, go through Zuber's videos, and it's trying to remember what the title was. Maybe I can even share it with you. So while I look that up, anything else going on? Bianna, you're back with us. Good to see you.
Good to see you guys. Good to see you.
Yeah. How's everything going for you this week?
It's going well. I'm working on submitting an offer. So I saw a property that came on the market, and then I realized that property is in foreclosure, and it was saying that it's going to sell next week, and the contract that they had in place fall off. So they're like kind of desperate to get into a contract, or they're going to end up losing the house next week. So I'm submitting an offer to that. One of the things that I think I was concerned about it is that I noticed the pool, it has a pool, and I noticed the pool is completely empty. So I want to send an inspector to inspect the pool, because I wanted to make sure how much do I have to invest. The house looks in a pretty good, in a really good shape, and it's in a really good neighborhood. I actually have another properties in that neighborhood. So I feel like this property is pretty good, and I'm trying to see if I can get it. I actually offer $30,000 less, and it sounds like they're open to take my offer. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Wow, that's amazing. On the swimming pool, were you going to make it usable or fill it in?
I don't know. I have never purchased a house with a pool. Most of my houses, well, all of my houses are without a pool. So at this point, I don't know if it would be a good idea to just fill it up, or to actually fix it and make it usable. What are you guys' thoughts about that?
My first question would be to check in with your insurance company and see what they think about liability stuff. And then that might help you make a better decision on what's good for you.
That's a good tip.
Anybody else? Because I know my father, when my father was alive, we filled in quite a few swimming pools for people, and it's not, well, it wasn't that expensive of a process. But if your insurance isn't going to be super expensive because of the pool, it might be attractive.
But Frank, like so we actually acquired a property that had a pool that had been kind of like abandoned, and oddly enough, my insurance company never picked up on it, probably because it's hid by bushes when they came and took pictures and they didn't notice it. But I just got an estimate to have it removed, and it was about 10 grand. So that includes permitting. It includes removing all of the surrounding concrete and other stuff, building it in, disconnecting electrical, disconnecting any plumbing, and basically like landscaping. And after the dirt settles, they'll come back and kind of like smooth it out and fill it in, right? But I'm amazed I haven't gotten, it's fenced in, so that's fine. But I'm amazed I haven't gotten beat up by my insurance company over it, because it's been abandoned for 2 years before I acquired it, right? So.
Okay. Yeah, good information. Vianney, what market are you in?
I'm in Bakersfield.
Oh, Bakersfield?
Yeah.
Oh. You're only about 3 hours from us. We're up here by Santa Cruz.
By Santa Cruz. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I live here next to Burbank, and everything here is really expensive. And then I had a property here in La Tuna Canyon, actually I don't know if you guys know this area, but it's called La Crescenta. It's very upscale area. And when COVID hit, my renter did not pay rent for like a year and a half. And I was not able to kick them out. I learned the hard way how hard it is to own properties in LA County. So at that point, I freaked out. And after I was able to get the renter out, I decided to start moving my properties to another county. So I started buying in Bakersfield, and that's what I'm kind of looking into it. I also end up buying properties in Lake Havasu, Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah, because LA County, it really freaks me out.
Yeah, I'll bet. And so did you just have the one there in LA County?
Yeah, in LA County, I have 2 properties. I sold one, and I end up staying with one because I do have a good renter. And that renter has been in that property for 5 years. So I'm like, you know what? I feel safe here. And yeah, so I end up keeping that property, sell the other one with the money that I make from the other property, end up buying 2 properties in Bakersfield. So the problem that I'm having with Bakersfield right now is one of the properties that I bought, the numbers make sense, but this year I got a form from the from the city stating that the property taxes were going up, and then now that the property taxes are going up, the insurance is going up, I'm not going to be making any cash flow on this property. And that's not how I got it. Right? So I'm trying to figure it out. What am I going to do with that? And
How are your rents? Is there any room to raise those a little bit, or?
No, there's no room to raise that. I mean, my only thoughts are like maybe converting the garage, into an ADU, but that's spending some money. And I'm like, do I really want to do that and spend money and build that, or do I want to get that money and just buy another property? And it's not negative. The property is not going to be negative. It's going to be paying himself, but I'm not going to make any cash flow, which my goal was to make enough cash flow so eventually I can leave my job.
Mm-hmm.
Danny, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What are you using to base your rents off of? So here's the context, right? So like I was following Zillow, and I was like looking at the Section 8 numbers out of whatever the federal site is, and I was looking at whatever that rent site is that provides rents. Rentometer, thank you. And I got numbers, and I'm like, okay, fine. And I use those numbers to do the model. But when I put my unit in the market, I said, I just feel like, and again, you got to make the judgment call. I feel like this market is really good. I feel like the market's climbing, and there's, in my market, there's not a lot of rentals, right? Not a lot of. So I I said, look, I can put it on the market a little higher for a month or 2 weeks or a month and just see how it goes, right? So I put it on. I I mean, I jacked rents like $200 a month on a 1 bedroom apartment in Lancaster and $200 a market in the Philly suburbs, and I got it. I mean, I got it one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 6 times out of seven. I got what I asked. One time I had to lower it by $80 after I raised it. Like so. The only thing I'd say is if you can afford to test the market, if now there's conditions, right? If you're in a decent area, if your unit's reasonably good, reasonably nice. But I wouldn't be shy about testing the market because like I'm trying to play at the nicer end of the market. Like I'm kind of following Matt's strategy, the lumberjack strategy. But anyway, just saying like food for thought. Like I I don't think there's really good data on there and like what the rents really are, for different like class C plus, B minus, B plus, A minus. So like I think you actually have to do a little bit of experimentation on your own to figure out like and I think stuff's been rising and I don't think if you wait until you see it historically, you may not you may have to wait a year to figure it out. But anyway, just food for thought. But don't be shy about experimenting to kind of test the market, what the market really will support.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, I tried that before renting the house out. I tried to upper the rent and I had to lower it because it's sit in the market for a while. So the market really taught me that that's not the price that it was going for. So I had to lower the rent. So that's why I
Okay.
feel like there's not really room right now.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at. So I'm trying to figure out what am I going to do with this property. I don't want to sell it, but I'm like, should I sell it? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, my husband and I, what we've been trying to do is buy at least one property per year. But I'm not
Yep.
savvy about all these investments. When I hear, all of you guys talking about doing this and moving the money here and moving the money there, I'm like, hey, slow down. All I'm doing is working really hard, buying one property a year and hoping that in about 10 years, everything is going to be okay.
But hey, that was my strategy. That's a great strategy, right? One a year. Don't listen to everybody else too much. I mean, use them directionally, but like do what you can and move it forward and find your own pace that works for you and you'll make it work, right? So anyway, sorry, Frank, back to you.
No, that's great, Chris. Thank you. And Biani, yeah, what Chris was saying too, I even have trouble, listening to everybody and you hear everybody's doing great at this or that. And sometimes you wonder if you're not doing it right, whatever it might be. But I'm glad you're here because all of these people have a lot of great experiences and things to share. I wonder, like one thing that we're doing, we're trying on 3 of our properties was to do cash value policies instead of full replacement coverage policies on 3 of our properties. And that cut our insurance cost in half. So that's just a thought, not advice or anything like that, because it might not be good for everybody to try that. But what essentially that does is, for example, we bought a place for $100,000. If we wanted to insure it to have it replaced if there was a catastrophe, we would be paying, it would cost about $277,000 to rebuild the home. So that's what your policy is based on. So what we did was we took a policy out for the $100,000 plus 20%. So we insured it for 120. And if something happened, so that cut our rate in half, along with raising the deductible to 5,000 versus 2,500, if that makes sense. And then if something happens to the house, we have that 20% extra to clear the lot and sell the lot.
I see.
Yeah. And I don't think you don't need to stay that way. Our thinking is we'll try it for a year or two. And then because the property is going to increase in value, right? Year by year. So you'll want to readjust what you're insured for each year. At least that's what I'm thinking. Like I said, you definitely do research. I've heard Matt talk about it, that he had considered doing it on some of his properties. the agent that we're buying with in St. Louis is the one who started talking to us about that, because she helps a lot of investors in St. Louis, and that's what a lot of them do. Because I was confused when they were sending pro formas out with the properties, and they always had a really low insurance number. And when I ran my numbers, our insurance was twice as much. So sometimes the numbers weren't looking as good as they said they were. So then when I asked her about that, she explained to me what some of her investors do. And like I was saying earlier, it's something that we're trying for now. Once the property is better stabilized, we might go ahead and insure it for more, or go to a full replacement coverage policy. But it's just to help us get through the first year and make the cash flow a little bit better, so we can save our reserves a little bit faster.
What was the name of it again?
The policy is called, it's ACV, and it's an actual cash value.
Cash value. I can look into that.
Yeah,
Definitely.
actual cash value. You might, and you could get some information from your insurance agent and just ask them, can I raise my deductible? If you're comfortable with raising your deductible first. And I am, because like the guys always talk about, Matt and Dion and everybody, they're not planning on using their insurance for the little stuff, right? They're going to pay out of their pocket because they don't want their rates to go up. So if you're not going to use the insurance anyway, and unless the house burns or blows away or something, then that's my thought anyway.
Thank you. I think that's helpful. It gives me an idea.
Vianney, is the population growing in the area where this property is that's having trouble cash flowing?
It is. Actually, I bought the property because it's close to, they're actually going to build a casino nearby. And the plans have been approved. And that's why I started buying in there, because I went to the city, plans had been approved to build this casino. So they're just going to start building the casino pretty soon. So to me, I would say if I get in sooner than once this is built, right, then I feel like Bakersfield is going to bloom once the casino is built.
Yeah. My top of the head thoughts about the situation you described is if you like the location, if it has potential, your question was, should you sell it and go somewhere else? My thought is, if you sell, you're going to have to pay real estate commissions to sell. And if you buy somewhere else, you're going to have to pay closing costs, and that's thousands of dollars. So any cash flow that you were missing in the short term, if you like the location and you think the rents will eventually start going up, you might be better off just waiting it out. Do the math and see what you think. But if you factor in your cost of selling and then buying somewhere else, because it could take, if a property cash flows, $100, $200 a month, it'll take a long time to make up for closing costs and closing costs on another property.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. I think that's helpful. So I can kind of look at that, because I didn't think about it. Sometimes you get stuck with, okay, what do I do? Right. I work a full-time job. I'm a mother of 3 kids. So it's a lot of things that you're trying to do. We have 6 properties, and I have property managers for some of them, but you still have to manage them, right? And it's a lot to juggle. And at the same time, I feel like, okay, I need to learn more. And I feel like I get stuck with, okay, now what do? I feel like constantly moving pieces, right? And there's a lot to learn. So I appreciate it.
Hey, Frank, if I could just interject, Vianney, I'm really excited to be part of this community, and the Matt and the Dion and the one rental at a time, and it's awesome. But I would tell you that the one thing I think is we don't share our failures enough. So when you feel like you're having something's going wrong and you're like, oh my God, I'm screwing it up, everybody else is doing so great. There are a lot of people in the broader communities who just, all they do is they talk about their successes, and it's all roses and perfume and champagne. And I'm just like, God, I'm just sucking wind here. I'm like, literally, like I spend an hour a day just juggling cash between my different, like, properties just to kind of keep the lights on because we're in growth mode and we're trying to get everything working. And then once a property hits like stabilization, it's like this cash flowing animal. It's great. But like, it's so hard, it's like a year or two to get there, right? And that's under good conditions, right? So like, even the community that we're in, which is great, doesn't we still spend 80% of the time like glowing on the successes and 20% on the failures. So like I would just say, like, for what it's worth, like you're not alone. I guarantee you the stuff you're going through, we're all going through. Don't be shy about asking about it. These Frank's done a great job setting up these forums. You can ask that, and you can be like, because sometimes for me, I don't know that I need technical advice about, how to fix it as much as I just want to know that I'm not the only one doing this. So I'm not the idiot and everybody else is doing great. Right. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's very true. It's very true. I think this real estate journey is challenging because this is not all what we do, right? We have families, we have problems, we have other things that, sometimes takes a lot of your time. So the fact that we have this community, I think I appreciate it because unfortunately most of my friends, are not into any of this. So if I talk about this, they all think that I'm weird.
We are weird, but we're weird together. I was going to ask Vianney, have you ever? I mean, if the value of the property's up and maybe you have some good appreciation, a 1031 might be an option. Like Sean was describing all the fees and not penalties, but all the fees that you would incur if you sold a house. But if you do a 1031 and exchange it for a property someplace else.
Still, I thought about that because if I sell, I will sell it with a 1031. Mm-hmm. The only thing is that there's still fees, that's for sure. Plus, you have to pay the 1031, which is like about $2,000, right? And that's an extra fee. You still have to pay for selling it and all that. So that's one of the things that I keep thinking about. Maybe I shouldn't sell. But then I listen to like, don't be negative. I'm like, well, I'm not negative. I'm $50, but $50 is not going to get me to where I want. So I jump from here to there, right? And of course, I have to figure out what I'm going to do, but it is confusing.
Yeah. And like we said, if you check with your insurance agent and get more information on on the other type of policy, that could save you some money for, even a year maybe, and things will turn around. Then you can go back to a full replacement policy if you get cash flow increased from some other way on the property,
That's all good ideas. So let me follow up with that and see what comes out. I really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, let us know what he says or she says.
Mm-hmm. I will.
I think the other thing to consider, Vianney, is that it sounds like you're still in growth mode too, right? So, losing a property, I shouldn't say losing, but like selling off a property is sort of counterintuitive to what you're trying to do, which is, to acquire properties in growth mode. So even with an exchange, whether you're exchanging that or you're selling off, you're not really building more properties. I think what Frank was saying, if you can weather the storm, for a year, 2 years, however long it's going to take. And if this is a 10-year plan, then, this is just the beginning of it where, things are getting stabilized and you're not making the rents aren't seemingly going up. They don't just go up that fast. So after several years, this could be a $500, $600 cash flow type of house if you keep it.
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking, because I think once the casino is built, the houses are going to go up, and they're in a really good neighborhood, really good schools. So, I have to figure it out.
Have they given anybody a projection as to when the casino will be built, when it will be done?
So they just approved the plan. So I'm thinking that after after the plans were approved, I'm thinking that it's going to take maybe a year. The city takes forever for everything.
Yeah.
So, but the fact that the plans were approved to me gives me that idea that they are moving forward, right?
Do you know what type of site it is? Is it just like a blank site, or is it like something else that they have to demo?
No, they're actually building a Hard Rock casino.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Hard Rock.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sure
saw
they
the
have like
plans and they look beautiful. I mean, it's going to be a big casino.
They probably have like a projection if they, somewhere.
I'm wondering how can I get that information? I called the city and all they were able to tell me, yeah, plans were approved. And then after that, they were like, you're annoying.
Those things can take several years, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Are Airbnbs allowed in your area?
Yes, they are.
So if you have a place that's near a tourist destination, sometimes the numbers on a short-term rental can look pretty good. So it might be something to look at also. When the casino gets in, you could make a casino themed Airbnb.
Those were my thoughts. Right now, I'm having as a long term, and I'm thinking that if once the casino is built, then I can switch into making it Airbnb if the numbers make sense. But like I said, right now, because I don't feel like I have enough education on this, I don't feel capable of running an Airbnb right now. I like I said, I have a full-time job. I have my children, and it's so complicated.
That's what I've heard is that if you're going to try to do short-term rental, and I don't have one, but this is just what I've heard is if you don't have significant time to put toward it, you probably do want to have a property manager for it because guests are calling you a lot more than they do for long-term and stuff like that. You got a schedule cleaner. You got like multiple turns a month instead of one every couple of years.
That's right.
It's lucrative, but it's time consuming, right?
Yeah.
And not only that, it's like I think property managers charge 15 to 25%. Yeah, I was hearing quotes from, I think it was down in Southern California, 18 to 20%. And that's a good chunk of change.
I actually got a quote at 30% in Big Bear.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, that's more like I was hearing 30 to 35%. But if those numbers are that much greater, the nice thing that I think she's got is that it's holding its own right now as a long-term rental. Typically, it's the other way around. So short-term rental or mid-term rental for a little while might be a good idea.
Sean, how are your properties holding up? Were they affected by the storms?
Was that for me?
Yeah, Sean.
Oh, no. Actually, Helene went kind of east of me and my property, so it was just a lot of rain. It's like it hit Florida, just kind of went through Georgia, and the eastern part of Georgia, I understand, had quite a bit of damage, but the properties that were really affected was it got up around Asheville and flooded. It just kind of parked there and just flooded all these little streams between the mountains.
Gotcha. Good to know.
But yeah, I got off easy.
You're on the west side, right? Or more
yeah,
towards
I'm on the west side of Atlanta. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And my properties are also.
Nice.
The job we just finished, the woman that we worked for was from Atlanta. We worked on her mother's house, and her mother was too old to take care of herself anymore. So we fixed up the house. It sold I think it only took a week to sell. And she moved her mom to Atlanta with her.
Okay.
Frank, I got my shirt.
Oh, how's it fit?
I haven't got to try it out yet. I'm in Texarkana right now. My
Oh,
wife she sent me a picture yesterday morning. It arrived. She's like, "Hey, did you order something?" I was like, "Oh my God, open that up." So she opened it up and she showed a picture of the shirt. I'm like, "Let's go."
nice. How did she like it?
Well, she didn't know it was coming because she doesn't know about all this. Well, no,
Oh,
that's not supposed to. Let me clarify. I'm not going to be the husband that is. My wife knows that I've now moved into the rental game. She does not realize how far into the game I am. She just knows we have a notary signing tomorrow. What she doesn't know, and I'm excited to tell everybody, is I don't know who gave me Brennan's number last Wednesday, but thank you for that. Since last Wednesday, I got in contact with Brennan. I found a lender. Tomorrow we sign off on the notary, and today I already sent in and had an offer accepted on a rental that has a tenant already that wants to sign another 2-year contract at 1950.
wow. That was a crazy week.
I told you last week when I set my mind to something, I'm going all day until I get done. I watch my buy box like 30 minutes a day every day since I was talking to you guys, and then like you guys said, I networked. I talked to 14 or 15 different real estate agents and 6 different lenders, all before I even talked to Brendan on Monday.
Wow. And this is your first one, right?
Yes, sir. It'll be my first one. So
Yeah.
tomorrow, I just sent all the paperwork over needed to they accept the offer. He's just waiting for me to get he already got my pre-acceptance letter from the lender that's going to work with us. And then they'll give me the official letter as soon as I sign off on the notary documents and send them the official documents for what our HELOC payments and stuff are going to be. They accepted the pre-letter, but obviously they want me to sign with the notary and give them the official version, which is not going to change at all.
Wow, that's amazing. Last week you were looking for your first, and now you got it. That's great.
Well, now I'm looking for my second, so let's see how that works.
David, did I hear
Hey,
you say you
Frank.
were in Texarkana?
Yeah, I'm in Texarkana today and tomorrow for my job, but I live in Plano.
Okay. Well, if you want to pick up a tractor trailer load full of beer and bring it back to Atlanta, it's been done before.
I
Just
could,
saying.
but I'm here with my boss, and he's like, "Hey, we're getting this, and then we got to get back to the hotel, and then get back to DFW in the morning."
Yeah. For anybody that didn't know, that was a Smokey and the Bandit reference. But
I'm that old.
yeah.
Yeah, we're all dating ourselves now. It's like I was
Hey,
talking to
Frank.
somebody today, and I'm like, cone of silence. I'm like, do you get that reference? He's like, oh yeah, smart. I get it. Yeah.
Hi,
I
Anna.
got a question. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a question, Frank, and or anybody else. Let me lower the thing. I don't know if I can do this with my phone. Anyhow, I'm trying to do 2 things with my vacant unit. It just became vacant. Um, I'm gonna try to. It's got a really dinky, have surroundings around the bathtub. So just keeping the bathtub, which is kind of old, but it's going to be expensive to do everything. So I'm gonna change the have surroundings. That's pretty all right, right? I have a jet tub in a rental unit, so it's oversized. It's not a standard size bathtub, so I'm really reluctant to replace it. Then I have to probably get a standard bathtub and then redo the floor of the bathroom. I just and then so I'm gonna do the house surroundings, which is really biggie. The move out inspection. They contract the property management company contracts out the inspection for the move out, and they said they recommended that we cook all around the surroundings because it's kind of you know it's integrating. I caught it's near my house, so it's in my backyard. I caught a couple of years ago when that was rented, and then I had a hard time just to even caulk it because and it was an emergency fix, so I could just go ahead and rent it. So this time I thought maybe I'll just go ahead and get a one unit, but have surroundings and just get it over with. That's one. The second one is it has a wheelchair ramp in the front, and then it's made of wood, and it's got a carpet, some kind of a utility carpet nailed on it. And the recommendation was to pressure wash the carpet because it's got mildews all the way around. Here in Pacific Northwest, it gets wet and then it gets green mildew. I had that for quite a while, so it's about time that I needed to. I thought maybe I was going to go ahead and change the carpet. I saw some waterproof one that you can use for the wheelchair ramp at the Home Depot. So I thought I was going to do it. The property management company talked to the handyman. They don't have anybody on payroll, so everything's contract out. And I can even find somebody and bring in and then do it on my own. So I'm trying to bring in as many people as I can get the cheaper bid. But this guy charged $310 to change this small wheelchair ramp. And then I thought, well, I don't know. Maybe I can just even do it. I can rip it off and then just kind of nail it, right? So, but I'm going to try to have somebody else do it. But do you have any idea, or do you know what's the standard? What would work for wheelchair ramp rubber? It has a flannel looking utility carpet on it. I want to change it to something that's a little bit more waterproof so that wood ramp underneath is going to be it might last a little bit longer. So those are two of my questions. Have the surroundings a good idea, or should I go ahead and rip it off and then change everything from the jet tub to a standard size tub? And sort of things. Those are the two big ones, other than just the one window change with the steel broken. I do have to change that window.
Yeah.
But those are the three items that I have to do for make ready. So, hey, what do you think, guys? Have you ever had something like that?
On the tub, are you saying that you are thinking about changing the walls, the tub surround?
Yeah, just the tub surround. It has some kind of, I don't know what kind of material that is. It's really cheap, laminate looking tub surrounding on the drywall, and it's 3 parts, and it's like a 70 looking aluminum metal around it, and then they are merged together, but it's got gaps, and you cannot really caulk them anymore. I mean, I caulked them. I filled it inside out, and it lasted, but I think it's time to just peel it off and then put a different tub surrounding or something that make it look a little bit better. The jet tub is a little bit bigger than a standard tub. I thought maybe I will go ahead and have a miracle, one of those wrapping things. Have company come over and then refinish it, but it's a cheap plastic. It's not a fiberglass type jet tub, but it is just oversized. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think they could refinish the tub, no problem. And they do have like the waterproof panels at Home Depot. If you can get those off the drywall, then you can glue on new panels, and they have trim kits and everything like that so that it'll be sealed. And then so that's one option. I don't think, since it's a jetted tub, you said,
Yeah, it is.
yeah, it'll be hard to find a kit to fit that tub, especially if it's older. But the wall panels come in 4x8 sheets. Probably you could do it with, you probably would need 4 sheets. And the stuff's not very expensive, but
Yeah.
sometimes you'll see that material like in a handicap bathroom, they do the bottom half of the wall with this white material. It has little bumps on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm talking about. And then it's pretty inexpensive. And you just glue it on like we were talking about earlier with they do sell a specific glue in a caulking gun in a caulking tube that sticks to those plastic panels. So that's the other thing. And then for the ramp, it seems like removing what's there might be better, and then just reapplying or reinstalling some type of indoor outdoor carpet.
Yeah.
They do make like runners, like rubber runners, but I don't know how slippery that would get, if it's wet.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah. And I know that if it's outside too, it needs to be made for exterior use because the sun will just deteriorate just about anything else. But if it's made
Yeah.
for outdoors, then it'll hold up to the sun a lot better. I think the sun is more damaging than the rain would be.
Um, yeah, probably in our area, rain is really bad, but most of the part of the ramp is under the eaves,
Oh,
so it's kind of protected. But the edges toward the ramp meets the ground, the eaves won't go all the way out. So probably about 6 feet toward the end of the ramp that meets the concrete sidewalk, that gets beaten up, like rain, wet, and um, and then when I do the mowing the lawn and then do the flower beds and then all that, or maybe like blowing the roof when I go out there and clean it up, it gets that dirty and then all the darts get on that places where it's outside the eaves. And so I thought it's probably about time to change it. I don't think it's glued or anything. I think it's just nailed because when I use the blower to blow off the leaves and things, it kind of wafts around. So I thought, I don't know if that's gonna cost $350. I thought maybe I would just go to Home Depot and get, the measured length and then just nail it,
yeah.
right? Is that
Was
what you do?
was the $310 just labor?
Um, I think includes the material, but I wouldn't think it's gonna cost that much. I look it up in Home Depot and it's very inexpensive. The material itself is. I would probably have to find the right width and everything, but um, I would know that much just to rip it off and nail it. But I don't know. I think that's what I would probably do. And Michelle said if we're gonna do it on the weekend, they might be able to come over and help me out.
Yeah, I think
For
I
the
think
schedule problem.
you guys could definitely tackle that in a day.
Yeah.
310 doesn't sound bad if it included material.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe it's not then. I might just have them do it then. Yeah. It's just the habit surrounding is the one that I thought, oh, I gotta get this one taken care of this time. But yeah, okay. It's a problem to have a jet tub. I don't know. maybe next time it's gonna go out, it'll be unfunctional. Then I have to take it out and redo the floor, maybe.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you for the
Yeah,
suggestion.
check it out. If you need any help picking the material for the walls, let me know. I'm at Home Depot every
Okay.
day.
Okay. Is it okay if I send you a picture
Of
through the
course.
text message? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Good. All right. Thank you. All right,
Okay.
bye.
Hi, Lars. Thanks for waiting.
Hey Frank, how you doing?
We're doing good. How have you been?
I'm all right. Just, sure, surviving at work and being busy at work and all that fun stuff and yeah, trying to move money around to position myself to make some moves hopefully this fall with any
Mhm.
luck. One question I have for you is about a month ago, my son and I live in Oregon, but we were out in Delaware. We have two rentals in Delaware. And we went and looked at a property and it's still on the market now, which is good. And it's it's like a reverse mortgage that was foreclosed on like 4 years ago or whatever. Um, anyways, when I was doing the walkthrough of it, it had it had been quote, I was told it had been winterized, but I noticed when I walked into the upstairs bathroom, there was water, there was some water in the toilet, and then also there was like a small puddle on the floor, which I didn't notice until I stepped in it. And I guess it's possible they de-winterized it, which, is obviously a question that'll be asked at a certain point once I get done moving money around if it's still in the market. But my question to you is that a sign that there's possible like some, something more than just replacing the toilet and so forth? Replacing toilet, like does that like how would you know if there's subfloor damage until you get, I mean, how would you know if there's some subfloor damage and so forth? Because I was thinking about hopefully getting get a contractor to give me a statement of work to hopefully get a renovation loan. But I'm trying to think about the stuff you don't see and how to really budget for that. And I just don't have any experience in this because I've always bought turnkeys or close to turnkeys, right? Like paint, replace the AC, which granted costs a little bit of money, but it's take any time and there's usually not much more damage other than replacing the AC. So I'm just wondering if you've had any experience with walking through that or if that's an indication of a bigger problem or anything like that I should be aware of.
Yeah, no, it seems so. Was the puddle right in front of the toilet?
No, it was more in front of the sink, to be honest. It might have been there might have been a small part of it that's in front of the toilet, but I thought it was more in front of the sink, right? So you had the sink and then you had the toilet, then you had the shower.
Uh-huh.
I noticed it was more or less maybe it came from the toilet, I don't know, but it seemed like it was more in front of the sink than it was in front of the toilet.
Yeah, because I mean, if it was dripping from under the sink or something, it hits the cabinet base and then it could run out the front. The as far as what is on the floor now, is it tile or linoleum or?
Yeah, I think it was more linoleum. Yes.
Mhm. Sometimes, sometimes what inspectors will do when they see something like that, they have their fancy little pokers and they'll poke around and see if that tool goes into the floor or not. And a lot of times we find that it's easy to change the subfloor, pull up the linoleum, cut out if you had to remove the vanity or whatever, and even the toilet. And we've replaced portions of subfloors like that, unless it's been leaking like for years and the dry rot can go back towards the wall or something. But typically you'll find the water will settle in whatever low spot it finds. And, even around the toilet, usually around the toilet is the worst spot, around the flange for the toilet. And so the home there is probably pretty old, right?
Yeah, it was built in 61. And it's in a really nice neighborhood, which is why I'm looking at it. They first put it on the market. So I did find out through like Bright Investor and so forth. It
Mhm.
looks like the mortgage they acquired on it, I'm guessing it was from when they acquired it in 2021, was 245,000. And they first put it on the market for 330, then they dropped to 310, now they dropped to 300, nobody's taking it. And the reason for that is one, I mean, look, it's the election and obviously there's the current market, right? Like people are kind of slowed down at this point. But also there was mold. I'm pretty sure it was mold in the front room, in the upstairs in the front room by like the front room windows, and then also downstairs. And one thing I noticed between when I looked at it in the pitch and they updated the pictures since then is that they removed the ceiling tile downstairs, which I think is good. Um, but I didn't see that they'd done anything on the updated pictures on the upstairs. Also, um, kind of funny to note, there's a bullet hole going outside of the windows, like from inside to outside. I
Oh.
just know that because I'm military and I could kind of tell, right? I did the. If you've been in the military, you know how to track a bullet hole. I'll just simply say it that way. If it's going inside or outside type of thing, right? By the impression that the bullet makes by going out. Anyways, um, which made me feel better because, it's probably just some issue or whatever. It wasn't coming inside, it was going outside. Which doesn't sound, which people may ask, why does that matter? But I think it matters a lot as far as whether or not it's going inside or going outside. But anyway, so there's definitely some changes. There's definitely some stuff that needs to be replaced and updated and that kind of thing. But yeah, I was just trying to figure out like the statement of work, like what the statement of work would be involved from a contractor and how confident I can be in what the contractor gives me as far as these are the repairs that are needed, right? And adjusting my numbers from there.
Mm-hmm.
And because I've never done it, maybe it's one of those fear of the unknown type of situations, but that was kind of some of the other things I noticed. And maybe the kitchen cabinets may or may not need to be replaced and that kind of stuff. But those were kind of the big things: was the mold upstairs, the mold downstairs, the water in the bathroom upstairs, windows on the front portion of the house, some trees that need to be cut down in the back, some tree limbs need to be cut down in the back, that kind of thing. But it's a really nice neighborhood. And it's a good location, really nice neighborhood. So anyways, it's one of those things, like I think it may be there for the taking, even though I'll put in a super low ball offer and the bank won't like it. But if it doesn't get taken off the market for the first, for 2 months, then why not put an offer that cash flows for me,
Oh yeah, exactly. So you would have an opportunity to get an inspection though, right?
Yeah, I'd be looking. In fact, I think I would have to. In fact, what my strategy was going to be is I would have a realtor walk through it with a contractor, and I would just pay if I need to pay. I don't know. That might be another question. Need to pay or something like that to get a statement of work with the contractor going through with the realtor, because I'm on the other side of the country, but I'll just have them go through and just, hey, here's the statement of work. This is what it cost me to do the fixes you want to it type of situation. So instead of having the realtor walk through it and then have a contract walk through it, I just have the contract walk through the realtor the first time because I've already seen it once. So, and even if I hadn't, I just think that's a more streamlined way of doing it.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're getting an inspection with a regular inspector, I would lean on them heavily to check the things out that you're bringing up. But if you're having a contractor go through with the agent, I think you could still do the same thing. Just say, hey, these are my concerns. Will you, pay extra close attention to these and see what you can see basically. He'll know by walking around on the bathroom floor if there are soft spots or anything like that. And then because typically, on the corners of the tub, if it has a tub, the corners of the tub usually get a little bit of water spilling over into the corners. The corners are usually the worst, along with around the toilet flange, if it hasn't been well kept. So I would lean on them for sure for that.
Okay, no, that makes sense. I just, yeah, it's like I said, when I get done moving money around and make capital available, if it's still there, then you know I'll have the realtor. So would you pay a contractor to go through and do a statement of work? Because part of the renovation loans, you have to kind of give a statement of work to the to the people financing the renovation loan. So would it be like I don't know I don't know because I've never done this before. I don't know what's common, what's not common. Um, is it common for a contractor to walk through with the to walk through and give you a statement of work for free, or is that something you usually pay for? Do you know does anybody know anything about that?
Well, in the market that we're in right now in St. Louis, the agent has had her contractors give us estimates in the past, and they haven't charged us for the estimates. I haven't spoken with her contractors yet personally.
Okay.
So, but I have heard of people paying a contractor for their time. That might be something you could offer, maybe just offer it and say, hey, I'm looking at, I would like to look at a couple of these areas a little closer. And if necessary, if the contractor needs a little money for his time to do that, let me know what it might cost or something like that. And that way, at least the contractor might feel better about it, knowing that how serious you are about getting that information.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And it might not be bad. I mean, if the agent, is this someone the agent works with regularly, the contractor, or?
I don't know. Like I've kind of found a contract in different part of I need to kind of find an agent and so forth. I've kind of asked around and found some. I've had a contractor or two recommended to me by other investors in the area.
Mhm.
So I'm just a little bit more willing to probably, if somebody has used a certain contractor 3 or 4 times and has liked their work, I'm probably more willing to pay them
Mhm.
than to take somebody who an agent's like, oh yeah, I've worked with this person before. They've given estimates before, right? Because at least I know that a contractor that's worked with another investor that's had success, I know that they've been tried out 3 or 4 times and it's been successful.
Yeah. So if that's the case, so it sounds like the contractor and the agent don't know each other. You check with the agent, say, hey, this contractor's been recommended to me. He says, he'll take a look at the property with you, if that's okay with you, for $200 or, something like that.
Well,
That's-
right. I was
guys are
just
still going?
Oh, not for long. We thought you fell asleep.
I've been busy, man. Sorry
Oh,
for interrupting.
that's okay. But yeah, Lars, if that makes sense. So I'm sure the agent would be fine showing
right.
letting the contractor take a look around and stuff like that. And if you talk to the contractor in the meantime and to make that arrangement, yeah, because if it's that case, it would probably be appropriate to give him some money for his time. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No,
Hey,
that's kind
Frank.
of what I was thinking is if it's still on there and you know, um yeah, they've lowered the price to like 300, but I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't see why anybody would do it for, 260, 250, that kind of thing because yeah, from what I saw walking through it the first time, there's a good amount of work and um why, it doesn't make sense to me if you bought a house for 300 and put $50,000 of work into it, have to be worth 350 or 370. That doesn't make sense to me. You're not getting paid for the risk you're taking. You gotta
Right.
buy it for 260, put 50 in it, have it be worth 350,
Yep.
or 240 or whatever, right? So yeah. So, anyways, I don't know how much of it's the banks being stubborn or how much of it is the bank's relying on an agent that doesn't give them good info or or if it's a combination of both or what. But hey, I'm glad it's still in the market. Maybe it'll be there for the taking for me by the time I get done taking care of a couple other things.
Yeah, no, it sounds like you're going about it just how you're supposed to, how they've been teaching us. That's cool.
Hey, Frank,
Yeah, hi Anna.
I got one question that Lars was talking about the water damage in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So you said the corner of the bathtub, a lot of times the water that has a damage on the soft corner of the wall. How
Mm-hmm.
bad is to I know I have one there, where the tub surrounding is meets the drywall on the corner of the. It's crunchy. How bad is it to fix it?
If it's right under the corner, it's a little tricky if you want to change that piece. If it's plywood, well, no matter what it is, typically it would be plywood. Do you know when was the home built?
1984, I think.
Okay. So it's most likely plywood. It's probably 3/4 inch plywood. We have in the past been able to go underneath and cut a piece of plywood out and replace it. That it's a little time consuming. It's a little tricky. It might cost a little bit, but then you're going to have new plywood outside the tub as well. So you would need to do something with the flooring, right, in the bathroom.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, because I think if you start poking around, oh, thank you, Chris. We'll see you next week. Yeah, if you poke in there, chances are whatever you're using, a screwdriver or whatever, is going to go through the floor.
Yeah. Okay. Jiminy Cricket. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And again, if you want to send pictures of anything like that too, feel free.
I will.
Okay.
Are you back?
No. Yeah.
Well, before I head out as well, have I don't know if you guys noticed in the news that LL Flooring is going out of business. So, which is liquid lumber liquidators in the past, and so it seems like they are going out of for bankruptcy, and I'm not sure if anyone here have checked their basically flooring and LVPs and because I'm intending to go to the store near me and check what it seems like they have a big discount going on and because they're gonna close all the stores. So I just want to mention that to you guys to see if you need any flooring and it might be a good time to buy. And I'm gonna go check in the next few days.
If I could just add two things, right? One, so I work in the restructuring bankruptcy industry, so I don't think they're going to close all the stores. I think they're going to restructure, so they'll close a lot, but some will stay open. But I'm actually starting to look there for. They actually have a really great selection of butcher block counters, which I know Matt's a big fan of. So I don't think they're going to close them all, but yeah, if you're going there to look, if you're interested in counters, they have some great butcher block counters. So
yeah,
okay.
I know the ones at Home Depot got really expensive. They're like double what they used to be. I don't know. We don't use them very often, but we ended up putting some in this most recent St. Louis house. Looks really nice. I think it'll set it apart from some of the other places in the area. I hope so anyway. Sam, when you look for flooring, are you using LVP or laminate?
Yeah, LVP, and I why I mention them is because I purchased the LVP for my primary from them, and it was a one nice one, and was called Tranquility, I believe, and I got it also for a discount for like a contractor price, and I think they kept carrying that one, so I'm looking to go and buy the same one if they still have it, but if not, I'll go and shop for whatever LVP that they have that is of a good quality. But I'm glad that they have countertops as well and all that. So, and they also have trims, and I think they have trims, and yeah, I believe they have trims other than flooring. They have subfloors. So yeah, things like that. If they do have deep discounts, it's probably worth checking. I just want to mention because I'm planning to go in the next few days and check out the store near me. I will definitely need flooring and probably other stuff. But I just heard that and I was like, well, it's a good time. Well, if they don't close, even though may close or not, but if they have a good deal on a great product, I mean, it's probably a good time to buy from them.
Totally.
That's yeah. I just want to mention that to the group, and one other thing I'm not sure, and this is a quick. Has anyone tried the thermal camera that goes and attaches to your cell phone? So you use your cell phone as a thermal camera to check for insulation. I think this option is available.
I have the FLIR one. I paid like $200 on Amazon. It's awesome.
Which one is called?
FLIR. Yeah, it's called Forward Looking Infrared is the acronym, but no, FLIR is the company. FLIR. They were usually guys who started doing that for like the military 20 years ago, right? And they've got something that clips in the bottom of your iPhone or your Android phone, and it's great for finding thermal leaks, electrical like issues with heat generation. You do cool stuff with your kids and your dogs. I mean, it's pretty cool.
I'm looking for insulation to find if there is insulation or not.
Yeah.
Does that help you with that?
Yeah, that's actually why I bought it. I bought it for to find air leaks and insulation gaps and other stuff. Yeah, totally.
Awesome. So so that's great. That's great to know, and I'm looking forward to maybe buy one of those. Yeah.
You can also rent them, but like, look, the cameras used to be, first they were 10 grand and they were $2,000, and now like I think I spent like 150 or $200 at Amazon to buy one that goes my iPhone, and it's pretty good. So like, if you only need it once, you can rent it and be done. But I mean, they're so cheap now. It's
it's so cheap that it's so cheap that it's better to buy it instead of renting it. Yeah. There's one here for $100, which is interesting too. Yeah, like we said, 150, 100. That's a good one. This one is called Seek from Amazon, and the other one I see is FLIR from Amazon as well. So yeah, there's a couple of options there.
FLIR's a catalog, but
great.
frankly, if you're just looking to do like very crude, like where do I have insulation gaps? If you don't need something that's really refined and accurate, frankly, I go with a cheap model and just run with that. And then that's for what we're doing. That's probably good enough. If you're doing like, I want to look at an electrical panel and I want to know which line is overly hot, which means the wiring is too small or the current load is too high. Like, yeah, I get the FLIR because it's going to be more precise. But for the stuff I think most of us are doing, I would go with the cheapest option possible that's credible. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for. I'm glad you used it, and I'm kind of trying to buy one myself. So, two things, and thanks for sharing. I'm heading out. Good night, guys. Thank you very much for this great session, Frank and everyone.
Yeah, of course. Good to see you. Looks like it's late for you guys. It's getting later for us, but we did get a late start. But thank you all guys for for jumping on today, and I'll look forward to chatting with you all in a week.
Thank you, Frank. Have a good night. Thank
Have
you,
a great
everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Have a good night.
Good night.